Our next speaker is also interested in knowing why we do what we do. He's been in the business for 33 years and a President's Council qualifier for 23 of them. And for the past 2 years, he was named a 5-star wealth manager by Westchester Magazine. He has a second-degree black belt in martial arts and consistent with his strong belief in living a life of health and vitality. And along with 3 partners, he's formed a group who help others achieve their personal ultimate success. They believe that knowing your outcome helps you envision what you want, which is the way to eventually get it. Please join me in welcoming from Baldwin, Nick Palumbo.
What all top producers have in common is we always know our outcome. They have 4 things in common. Not only do they know the outcome, but the second thing is they know the reasons why they want the outcome. The third is they know the reward they're going to get for that outcome. And the fourth is if something is not working, they take massive approach to make changes. So, knowing the outcome in sales. Now, when does it start? When do you know the outcome? It's right at the rapport building session. So what I've created is some questions that I use during rapport building. Now, I always say the close is made at the open, but knowing the outcome is right during the rapport building session. And the first question I ask, I stole from my good friend Joe Pombriant, which, by the way, is trademarked now, starting tomorrow, so I'm going to use it today. And I thought it was brilliant, and I actually tested this question. Had a joint case up in Boston, and I drove up 3 hours, same day, drove back. And it was a small premium. It was $44,000 on a joint case. Made about $1.50 an hour, considering the time. And the guy said to me, the guy made about $350,000 a year. He was an auctioneer. He said to me, you know, he had this image of Opus, our company, being much larger than we were. He said, why did you drive all the way here, 3 hours, and now I'm going to head back to New York to see little old me? And this is the first time I tested this, Joe, and it worked like a charm. I said, with your permission, can I ask you a question? And I said, why do you work? And the guy said, oh, pay the bills, you know, typical answers that you get. And I used Joe's line. I said, well, we work for 3 reasons: current consumption, future consumption, and for a sense of purpose. Is that correct? David Simkowitz just talked about his why. Right? When you know your why, you hypnotize clients into buying. And I said to him, with your permission, may I share my purpose with you? Now, you're not always going to say it this way, but he gave me the permission to say it this way. And I said to him, his name was David, and I said, David, every morning I wake up, and I understand why I wake up and why I do what I do. And I say this to myself. I say the purpose of my life is to be the best leader, teacher, and coach to my family, my friends, my clients. I will live a happy, healthy, spiritual life full of love, joy, gratitude, passion, and financial freedom. I will live my life to its fullest potential for myself and my family while leaving an imprint on the hearts and minds of those I touch so that I may leave a legacy long after I'm gone. That's why I'm here. He not only became a client, gave us 14 referrals that day. See, I didn't have to ask for the referrals. So that's a great question that leads into the why. So answer it, understand your why, and don't be afraid to tell them. Second question, what are your views about money? The client, you know, my dad always said you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Be a good listener. What are your views about money? Try to understand their views about money. Third question, do you base your decisions mostly on opinions or facts? What does everybody always say? Facts. Well, how do they base decisions? Opinions. Had a guy who sold Bombardier jets. And he came in, he had a hedge fund, CPA, and another advisor. A brother-in-law was giving him advice. And it was a nice case. Right when we were going to pay for the case, he said, you know, why does everybody tell me different than what you're telling me? I said, well, give me an example. Well, my CPA says this, my accountant, my hedge fund guy says that. So I drew a line down the middle of the page. I said, did your CPA base that decision based on his opinion? He said, yes. I checked off the left side of the page. I said, did your hedge fund guy make his decision based on an opinion? He said, yes. Put another check mark. And I had 5 check marks by the time I was done. I said, everything I've shown you today is based on facts. And you told me you make decisions based on facts. Which is it, opinions or facts? So it's almost like any boxing fans here, it's almost like I'm hitting to the body so he lowers the hands and then I'm going to knock him out. Okay? So it's the use of language that allows you to close the cases. If you base your decisions on opinions, do they come from other financial advisors? You don't want to come to the table when you're paying for the case and he says, well, I have to throw this by my CPA. Do you truly understand how the wealthiest people think about money and make financial decisions? What are the most important things in your life? List them in order of importance, both material and non-material things. Now, this is a setup question that when I'm talking about protection later on in the second meeting, and I'm talking about economic value or human life value, can everybody see this? I'm actually listing this, and the client always says, well, my family is very important. My income, very important. My lifestyle, my health. That's what they usually say. I said, what other things are important? Maybe it's material things that you own. Is your home important? And he says, yeah, my home's important. What about your car? You have a nice car? You like to get places with your car? Yeah, my car. My boat. Your wife owns some jewelry, furs, yep, personal things. So I'm just getting this during rapport. But later on, when we're having the conversation about human life value, the guy happens to makes $250,000, owns $1 million of term insurance, and his human life value is $5 million. Okay? So I come back to this question later on. And I said to the client, let me ask you a question. If your home was burned down tomorrow, can you replace the full value of that home? He says, yes. If your car burglarized, can you replace the value of the car? Yes. Personal belongings, home, yes, yes, yes. So I'm a little bit puzzled here. Help me out. You told me that your family, your income, your lifestyle, your health are the most important things, but why are these things only insured for 25%? Yet the things that are least important insured for more. I never thought about it that way. So well, what could be the number one reason? And what do they think they say? Cost. Cost. So if cost were not a factor, would you want to explore the possibility? Of course, yes. But there's a second reason why. And the second reason is we all have values, yet we all have rules behind those values. See, I value love. My wife values love. I have a different set of rules with that value. Just make sure dinner's cooked, take care of the kids, take care of the house, just love me when I want love, and allow me to be me and allow me to go to work. That's one set of rules, but I value love. But Linda has a different set of rules. I want to go nice romantic dinners. I want you to buy me jewelry. I'm only kidding, but send me flowers. I want chocolates. So we both value love, but we have different rules. So the value of, he values his family, values his lifestyle, but his rule associated with that value is I want to insure it for 25% of my income. Because you never thought about it that way. So your rules with those values have to be aligned. Does that make sense? Okay? Next question. What are some of the threats that will hinder your ability to achieve your truest wealth potential? This is the client talking. Inflation, taxes, right? Those wealth eroding factors. Allow the client to tell you. Because later on, when you close and you can mitigate those threats, mitigate those risks, the client's going to buy. Jay came up with this one. You know, that we teach neurolinguistic programming, style of language to make instantaneous connection with your client, and people process information in different ways. Either they're visual, they're auditory, they're emotional or kinesthetic, or they're technical. And I can tell inside of 2 seconds what the client's communication style is, so I know what style to become. And Jay asked this question to a client. He says, this is going to take some practice, so I'm just going to ask the client. Jay, are you there somewhere? Right? You did this with a client? And the client said, that's a great question. She said, I'm visual, right? I don't remember what it was. I'm visual. So Jay used to over-prepare and used to drain his resources, right? And then when she told him what style of communication, he became that style and your process shrunk, correct? Okay? So you need to understand how a client processes information so you can deliver it in a quick fashion. If you were to meet the R-factor question 3 years from now, this is an important question. What has to have happened during the course of that time for you to feel like you made progress? What are some challenges that you're facing now that could inhibit the growth of your business? What are some things that keep you up at night? What are the things that you worry about? So knowing the outcome right here from this point in rapport building, I know what's going to happen with that client. I know if that client's going to be a client, right? Because I'm going to alleviate all those issues that he's having. I'm going to give you a narrative that I think is very powerful during the course of my presentation with the client. And it's a real setup. I mean, it's really setting up for the knockout punch. I hate to use that analogy. When I'm sitting down with the client, I say, look, there's 4 sectors of the economy. There's government, there's corporations, financial institutions, and you, the consumer. The other 3 sectors, whether you believe it or not, are in business to transfer wealth away from you and to them. And they have their rules associated with how do we get wealth away from you. What's one rule the government has? Federal taxes, state taxes, local taxes, FICA, Medicare, Medicaid, estate, luxury. I can go on and on and on. And we take it for granted, and wealth is eroded to government. Corporations also compete for the same dollars, right? Have one rule, planned obsolescence. Things become obsolete. We did a roof repair job several years ago. It was $30,000 out of my pocket, unexpected expense. Technological changes. I'm starting to make the transition to the iPhone. It's going to take a while. My son is asking me for the iPad 5. I remember black and white TVs, right? Planned obsolescence, technological changes, inflation, style changes. I have double-breasted suits I can't wear. Okay? Corporations have these rules so they transfer more wealth away from you and to them. Then financial institutions compete for the balance. Is that correct? And the financial institutions want us to give them money on a regular and ongoing basis, hold on to it for as long as possible, give us back as little as possible. Banks put a maturity date on a CD. Right? They need to hold on to that money so they can lend it out. 529 plans, best thing since sliced bread for college education. Pension plans are a tax deduction, right? Trading costs, front-end charges, back-end charges, deferred commissions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And more wealth is being eroded out of your pocket into the financial institutions. And I asked the client this question. Mr. Client or Mrs. Client, what rules do you use to make intelligent financial decisions? And what do you think the clients always say? I don't have any rules. You're using the rules of the other institutions, correct? The client says yes. Now here's the setup. Mr. Client, in order to have a successful financial life, in order to fulfill all the dreams and wishes that you've always dreamed of, you need to have 4 things, and 4 things only. The first thing you need is you need a financial economic game board or dashboard. One central point, one central location that you can measure everything that's going on in your world. So you need a financial game board. The second thing you need is rules of the game. Just like a chessboard. If I have a chessboard, I have the chess pieces, they go hand in hand. There's rules that are associated with the chessboard. And there's 15 financial rules that we teach, that if you follow these rules, you will have maximum wealth. Third thing you need, Mr. Client, is a simulator. When a pilot goes for flying lessons, he doesn't just fly the plane, he gets in a simulator and tests the conditions. So we need to test the conditions. The financial conditions. Does LBS do that? Absolutely. And the fourth thing you need is a macroeconomic manager, someone that will hold all your advisors accountable for the opinions they're giving you so that you can make intelligent financial decisions, not based on opinions, but based on facts, which is what you told me. At this point, the client is motivated. Because when I deliver the game board with the rules that are his rules, the sale is made. See, the sale is a byproduct of everything that you do before that. It's the whole setup. So I want to talk a little bit about mindset. As we grow up, we have a belief system. And those belief systems might be limited beliefs. We call them paralyzing paradigms. When a child is born, a child has no conscious mind, has only a subconscious mind. And a subconscious mind can only accept thoughts that are given. See, Bob talks in LBS, we talk about uncommon, common, right? Most people make financial decisions commonly based on what they see, what they hear, what they taste, what they touch, right? They use their 5 common senses. And they have these paradigms, this root system from when we were born. And those roots eventually grow to a tree. And that tree bears fruit. And let's say one fruit represents your health. Another one represents business. Another one represents family. See, the root for maybe family, something happened along the way. Maybe there was a divorce. Maybe there was an abusive parent in the family. So this fruit is rotten. Maybe the fruit for business, I love the word call reluctance. I have call reluctance. Well, you know why you have call reluctance? Because somewhere along the lines when you were a child, you were rejected by someone. That's why you have call reluctance. I can get rid of call reluctance in 2 minutes by reconditioning the mind. So success is not a measurement of how much money a person makes. We know people in our industry that make $10 million that are not successful because they don't have a relationship with their spouse, or they're unhealthy and they're toxic. So we have to recondition and build a root system by reconditioning the mind. So in our coaching, we show you how to recondition the mind by using what we call IQs, intellectual qualities. And the biggest thing, we always talk about goals. What are your goals this year? What are your goals? I'm going to make President's Council. I'm going to make Chairman's Council. I asked one former President's Council producer, he said, I want to make President's Council. I said, why? He said, I don't know. I said, why? You have to know why. He said, well, I don't know. Do you have an ego? He said, no. I said, well, why? He goes, I want to make a $250,000 donation to UJA. I said, oh, now you know why. You think he made President's Council? Yeah. See, he had a worthy ideal. He had a purpose. A worthy ideal is bigger than us. See, when I talked about my life purpose, I sell through inspiration, not manipulation. You guys sell through inspiration because you have a passion for what you do. I hear it when you're up here speaking. That's what sets people apart from good to great. Okay? Our worthy ideal, Empowered Mastery's worthy ideal is to inspire and impact professionals and entrepreneurs to achieve ultimate success, personally, professionally, spiritually, and physically, so they can live a life filled with passion and purpose. That's why I wake up every morning. It's bigger than me. It goes way beyond Nick Palumbo. Okay? As we go through life, we have different levels of awareness. And the most basic level of awareness is survival mode, animalistic. I need to pay the bills. I knew one guy that his expenses are $300,000 a month. A month. Okay? That's animalistic mode. You just have to pay your expenses. The highest level of awareness that we all strive for is what we call disassociation, enlightenment. Great producers, what you all have in common, is top producers do not allow circumstances, conditions, or people affect their outcome. They understand what they want the outcome to be. They visualize the outcome before it happens. There's a principle called the complementary principle. Guy actually won the Nobel Prize on this. And he said that everything that we think about already exists. See, the ability to fly was already there. The Wright brothers just created a vehicle to be able to fly. So everything we think about already exists. The secret is, how do we transform it in its physical reality? By tapping into these intellectual qualities, everything is energy. Once you learn how to tap into this energy source, you begin to accomplish things that you once thought were impossible. At the age of 47, most of you know this, I was in Korea competing in an international competition and won the silver medal. Am I telling you this to impress you? No. But to impress upon you what's possible when you learn how to tap into the mind and the potential of what the mind can accomplish. Everything in life grows from the inside out. Nothing grows from the outside in. But yet, we always look for the outside tools. What's the secret to this sale? What is this guy saying or doing to do the kind of numbers that they're doing? It has nothing to do with what they're doing. It has to do with their internal guidance system. See, Michelle had a phenomenal year this year. And you, somewhere along the line, somewhere last year, you were probably pissed off, right? And you said, I'm going to prove that I'm number one. And you became number one. Something clicked inside you that you can't explain right now. Okay? But that's what happens. Again, I thank you very much. Again, I'm truly honored to be with some of the greatest in our industry that I've ever met. Thank you again.